Testing one, two, three.
Testing. One, two, three.
Live. It's Friday. Later. We start off with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us for our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, yours now and forever. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, I'll report first. Number one, a lot of people are leaving the north and are going to the south, Florida, um, Georgia. Um, it's unbelievable. And I must say, um, the South, what they did rebuilding the roads, unbelievable. It's markedly, when you're in New Jersey and places like this where you're paying all these tolls and you're under incessant potholes. One other one, yes, and it's unbelievable. Um, Made really great time. My van, as usual, did very incredibly well. The new upgrades to the training, torque converter, engine, turbo, everything turbo. Really, you're not going to believe this, but I was averaging 300 miles on 13 gallons of diesel. Incredible. Um, yeah, it turns out if you have a bigger, more efficient turbo, you're extracting more heat energy out from the exhaust, and then you're putting more air into the machine. You're gonna get better performance, and yeah, so basically it's one gear from 50 miles an hour up to 80. It's amazing. Yeah, couldn't believe it. Well, the radiators that have in the front training and the oil and those are the main ones that are in front of even like air conditioner are covered with um um I don't know how you say it. And they come out every 17 years, and we hit a mess of them in Virginia. Cicadas, that's it. And man, they look like they're from an alien. I don't get it. I don't understand why they come out. And, we're gonna go to the interstate, and, but um, the um, you didn't see anybody wearing masks down south. You saw people wearing masks in broad daylight here in New York, which is, and I don't get it. Okay, it's now there's now people who sent their masks to laboratories to actually say what people have been saying the entire time. They're actually harbingers of bacteria, um, causes for tuberculosis, pneumonia, you name it. And because they're supposed to be one for 20 minutes and then disposed of it and put another one on. They're surgical masks. Okay. I won't even get into but they're basically to stop infecting the person that you're operating on, open things like that. Okay. So you want an actual something to protect you from whatever, you have to wear a full face and it has to be a respirator type and everything else. And so I have no idea. It's coming out now. I have no idea what this whole thing was about. I think it's the mega hat version of the left supporters. Okay. But um, um, we're in serious trouble with the present administration and the present um, Department of Defense, Pentagon, the chiefs. It's bad. It's beyond bad. It's so bad that Putin and China are just they're laughing their asses off. They can't decide what they're going to do first. It's like a candy store. So there's no question that just like Hong Kong, Taiwan is going to fall. The reason why Taiwan is going to fall, by the way, is because all the chip manufacturing went from California, Silicon Basin, and everything else to really Taiwan. Okay, they have all the 5 millimeter, 5 nanometer chips are made there. So that's a big thing. Food, as you've seen, one I've seen across this country, is going up tremendously. Very expensive. Some people say that this is all, you know, to wake people up, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no. Um, nope. So, and then there's all kinds of signs that the sun is going to really, really have a conniption. And so all I can say about that is that you lost the audio. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. It's okay here. So the one thing that this country, believe it or not, no matter what the left is trying to do, and I can tell you this throughout my life, is they are the most racist people on the planet, sexist people on the planet. They that's how they work. They have to divide and conquer. So they don't whatever the skin color that you're addressing, that's racism. Okay, whatever the sex you're addressing, that's sexism. Everybody is different. Everybody on this planet. The only thing we have in common is the preponderance of genes. We're essentially brothers and sisters, really. They've deciphered all the genes, and the reality is we all came from the same, six people. Incredible. So there it is. The skin color, hair type, whatever, that's just a geological adaptation. Okay. One thing that you could definitely say is I do not mind the cold, but I die in heat. I'm fat. Used to be fatter, but I'm fat, still fat. And that Florida heat of 95, 98 degrees, 98% humidity. I mean, I'm thankful for my van, but it's just ridiculous. It's too hot for me. Can't deal with it. You know, the cold I could always deal with because you could always put a coat on. Um, Even if you take off all the clothes, you're still going to be too hot. Um, so I knew this because I spent 3 years down there. But I was a heck of a lot thinner. I was basically in the best shape of my life, and I was still looking like I just took a shower with my clothes on. So there's that. Uh, my family is doing very well, thank God, and I'm doing very well. I'm doing well. My wife's doing well, but I would not say the same for the country. I've never seen so many stores, shops, things, small businesses that were closed down there, closed on the way, places that I knew closed, open for 40, 50 years, closed. Um, yeah, the people just they gave up. They couldn't deal with it. And then there's the tremendous shortage of people everywhere. Nobody wants to really work. That's the conversation that I had with so many friends and owners of businesses that they can't get anybody to work. Um, I'm seeing a massive 40% to 50% of from everything, from you name it, restaurants, retail, anything, manufacturing, anything. I mean, oh my God, I was down there, and this one guy, because he knew I was, and he's like, Bob, can you just take an hour and just please weld this for me? I turned him down. I said, look, it's not that I wouldn't love to do it. I'd love to do it, but I'm here to see my grandkids and stuff like that. And then my wife's got a schedule yay long, and he's like, I understand. I get it. Nobody gets stacked times like you, Bob. That's what he said. Yes and no. It came from years of doing, and I would not want to own the first, say, 50 projects that I put together. Not that I didn't do the best I could, but my best wasn't very good. It was functional. It passed, but you get so. But and then there's the thing that I did not miss. I never miss it. It's the Florida drivers. Wow. Um, Probably the worst drivers in the world are Florida drivers. There's people who should not have their driver's license. It's a very simple thing. And how it's resolved is they should require people to get tested every 5 years because there's definitely people that should not be driving. No. I'm just reading this comment that IB Rules wrote. Um, Florida, look, Florida is great, okay, but you have to understand. For me, Florida is great in November to May 20th. No problem. Okay. Um, you know, Long Island gets hot too. Long Island has 2 months where it's really hot. Uh, not hot if you're on the boat and out east, or sailing up and north, whatever. But it's hot, it's hot in July and August in Long Island, and there's usually a stretch of about 3 to 4 weeks that it's really uncomfortable. Um, that's when I go to my house now. I have my boat in the water, be on my boat. But the point is, I don't. So there it is. Um, Vermont gets hot in the valleys, there's no question. But on a mountain, no. It really, very 1 3 days, maybe a year, if that. But there's always a breeze, and there's always, you know, but in the wintertime, we're talking after November 15th, you can get hit with 4 feet of snow literally in one night. And I've seen more. I've seen 15 feet of snow in a 24-hour period of time. Okay. That's what happens to the mountains. So, you know, that's what happens up there. Long Island, if we get, big snowstorm a year, usually it's a nor'easter that sits off the Atlantic and dumps onto the island, things like that. But other than that, no. You guys don't get snow down in Florida. You get hurricanes. You get really good. I've been down there with the really big hurricane, and it's no fun. So what's the news? And I know you hate this, but again, another confirmation that the Aries are even worse. Um, the military has been totally, essentially, in my opinion, it's shooting itself in the foot because it's bringing hatred, anger, and all sorts of stuff where there was none. For the longest time, if anything, if it really since, I would say since 1947, the Navy has been pioneering um, all races, um, and yes, there were times when back and forth, but for the most part, no. When the crap hits the fan, um, it's the man who's in there with you and on that going down that P-way is your brother, sister, whatever. It doesn't matter because you're on the ship together and you'll sink together if you don't deal with what has to be done. So they're making this in my opinion, like I said, it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. It's and it, to me, it's another. You can't say it's because it's doing it. So I'm going to read this. This is Exodus 20. I refer to it a lot of times because Jesus did not say to ignore it. And it needs to be said today, especially from the things that I've seen. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me. But showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall work and do all your work and labor. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do not work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and earth and sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day, it be hollowed out, basically holy. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Why am I reading this? What did I see and hear and witness? There's another 10 things that you could say that our founding fathers, with the fact that we are divine creation, stated in fact that we have these Bill of Rights that are not given to us by the government, which is what President Biden wants you to think, and these other people want you to think. No, they were given to you by our Father in heaven, our Lord, our God. That's who gave it to us. Okay? So, what am I saying? I'm saying that everybody has the right to be an a-hole or an asswipe. That's another term for it. Everybody has the right to say what they want to say, even though it's inaccurate. Okay? Right. Everybody has the right to bear arms, protect themselves, protect their life and liberty. Everybody has the right to pursue your happiness. I could go on. Don't have to. In recent, well, I should say June 8th, a system went online that is essentially something right out of the Nazi playbook, the CCP playbook. Um, a system's called Sidewalks. Now, what you people don't realize is that not only is there stuff in your phone, but there's stuff in devices. There's stuff in your Ring, Echo, all kinds of things. And that telemetry, that stuff goes encrypted through to the cloud. But not only that, they also have, if you look at their filing and you look at see what that says, they all operate on the 715 to 900 megahertz class, which is essentially a free class, which means they can hijack a lot of things as well. Okay, it's all turned on and controlled by the cloud. Okay, and they can do anything with that. So to say that it violates your fourth, your fifth, right? Yeah. Now these people don't fear. They have no fear for God. They have fear of being exposed to who they really are, what their true agenda is, before they can totally accomplish it. Okay. So what am I seeing? Okay. I paid, as you know, I've done this trip, and I don't know gas prices. I know diesel prices. My diesel on average costs me approximately $1.25 more per gallon on this trip than it did the last time I made this trip. um, so essentially, for half a tank of fuel, it's $50. For a full tank of fuel, it would be about $105, $106. A lot of money. When under Trump, I used to fill my van up for $53 around there. Okay. Food prices have essentially doubled. I know for a fact that salaries have not. But when you print the kind of money that they've been printing and giving out, which remember, money is work and energy is the real money. That's the other thing I've seen. I've seen energy prices on all kinds of levels, electric and everything else, go up. I've seen people who normally would want to work, but they don't they're inundated, they're tired, they've been putting 6 to 7 days in, and they just can't do it because 35 to 40% of the population who could be working is not working. Instead, they're just sitting on Easy Street doing whatever and laughing at everybody who's working because they're getting more money. Now, ultimately, as you and I both know, that's not going to be good. Are there any questions before I get going with other stuff? Yeah, well, Echo, everything is being channeled into that. I don't even think you can stop it because there's just so many Android devices out there. Um, some people say, "Well, what's the big deal?" Um, the big deal is it's none of anybody's business what you're doing in your house. That's what the whole gay marriage agenda was all about. It never should have been, and we're not talking the Lord here. We're talking legal things. See, for, that pokes at you. Don't let it poke at you. Marriage is between um, you and God, period. A man and a woman between God. That's what marriage is. That's done by a church. The state never should have been involved in it. If they wanted to be involved in it for legal standing, then you have a civil union of anything. It could be a civil union of two strangers. It could be a civil union of two widows. They want to now be responsible for each other. They want now to have the tax credit and everything else. Fine. The government has no business being in the bedroom of that house, and your house, my house, anybody's house. No. You want to have legal standing with that person, then fine, and it has to be a person. Okay, they can't say, well, whatever. Well, then somebody could say, well, I want to marry the apartment building, and they can put it into a lease so they can take a tax deduction. I mean, anything can be abused. Okay, but the reality is that's what all these people should have wanted. If they wanted real fair share, the actual tax liability, medical rights, legal rights, everything else should have been a civil union, period. Because that would cover anything. Okay, any two people. Is that what they did? No, they didn't do that. Why didn't they do that? Because that's not what the agenda was. The agenda was putting the foot in the door, and you see where that door has gone. Okay. Why are they doing this? Why have I been demonetized? Why have I been accused of bullying? I wasn't bullying anything. I was specifically asking a question. How come it's the legal definition is 100 sexes? Nobody, by the way, has written a PDF to give me. I would gladly download the PDF of the 100 sexes in San Diego. And I would glad download the 68 sexes in New York City PDF. I know why, and any person who has somewhat of a physics or chemistry background can prove to you why this is silver. And they can do it again and again and again because it has unique properties that are only silver has these properties. That's why it's called an element. You can't break an element down any further, only to the fundamental particles, but the actual substance. This is it, and this is 0.999 fine. The reason why this is that way is because they literally electroplate this. That's how they do it. They take a silver anode that's made out of, it could be 75 to 80% silver, but other things in there. And then they put it into a solution and they've literally used electricity and they plate these. That's what this is made out of. That's how they get it so pure. Okay. But this methodology, this measurement, we know it's an ounce. We know it's silver. These are scientific facts that are reproducible again and again and again. Okay. I just want to understand. I want to, in order for me not to be offending somebody, I have to know, don't call this gold. Not gold. It's not gold. And I can scientifically quantify that this is actually silver, and there's many tests that can be performed on this to prove that it's silver. I know that I am a male because I've had my genes checked. I've had my blood tested. I've had my stuff. I know my blood type. It's a definite A negative. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. Okay. I just want to see what I don't even understand these terms. I can't, how can I speak to bully and whatever if I don't understand it? I have no, I don't understand. I understand that I'm fat. How did I get this way? Well, I could use the excuse and say that's my blood pressure meds and working. No, it's my fault. Putting food in that orifice, food that I like to eat, I shouldn't eat, like to eat it. Not gonna say I didn't. Okay, wanted to try to for the most part, but still, no. That's honest. Okay. That's truthful. I'm fat. That's the way it is. Technically, you would call me obese. I lost some weight, but still, 331 pounds is for a 6'4" person is still too much. I need to lose 100. Then I'll be better. And probably I'll be less affected by the hot weather. I don't think so. Even when I was 219, 220 down there, I was dying. I was absolutely dying. I was just drinking all the time. I was just one big puddle. So now the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is something that the government is not. I've talked to a lot of military personnel on this. I've talked to a lot of pilots on this, and even though they're now allowed to say things, they're still gonna kind of cover it up. Why? Obviously, another or other races of beings that come here, for whatever, wherever they come from, have powers and technology that is obviously surpassing ourselves. They, the Delta Sierras of the world, don't want anybody to be over them in power. And obviously, these entities or whatever they are. And I'm sure that there are good ones, and I'm sure that there are bad ones. And I'm sure that there is a battle in the universe of good and evil. And I'm sure that it's going to come to a type of crescendo here. But there have been evidence, chariots of fire perhaps, that this has been going on for a very long period of time. And nobody wants to talk about it. My father was ordered not to. Kept that order to the day before he died, and then he told me. Didn't tell anybody else, told me. I remember I asked him, I said, well, was it aliens or what was it? And he said, Bobby, it wasn't Russians. It wasn't the Ruskies. And that told me everything I want to know. Publicly, at least in logistics, this country has really recognized it since the incident in Roswell in 1947. You can always tell by the undoing of everything always comes from the cover-ups. Just as the undoing of certain aspects of things are going to be from the cover-ups. But pay in mind, before the Delta Sierra lets that come out, they're going to do their damnedest to cause as much possible chaos, as much possible upheaval as they possibly can to put that off so that you don't see that. But they don't realize, none of these idiots realize that there's some signs. When I was a kid, I did some study on the sun. In 1964, I built a reflector box. I used to take pictures and outline sunspots and activity. And I remarked on how the sun was like a yellow hot frying pan. Because that's what it looked like. It looked like this on the sheet. Does not look like that now. The sun looks white. And the reason why it looks white is because the upper corona and the atmosphere of the sun has changed. And it's been starting that change since 1859. And it's about to complete that change. If you're a Patreon member, you'll note that I have posted a lot of scientific papers on this, a lot of work that Ben Davis has done and others on this, tops in the field. And there's a geological record for this, and there's Bible text on this. Bible text. So we've been through this before, folks. It happens on average every 12,000 to 12,500 years. And it's a kind of reset because it will put us between the Stone Age and the Bronze Age for sure, with the way things are. And we had a chance, but I don't see that chance happening because we were on the verge of having or creating technology that could stop this and save the earth, save the planet from this, and save ourselves. Now you're saying, does Biden know? Biden doesn't even know where he is. Okay. That was made evident with this G7 summit and its meeting with Putin. And we've never had a presidential leader not do a joint press conference and open the floor. But he didn't want to do that, or his handlers didn't want to do that because they knew it came off disastrous anyway. I feel horrible for every American citizen and even non-citizen who's living in this country because of the horror that is going to happen over the next 3.5, 5 years. So what I say to you all, and I know I've said this a million times, and I know you think I'm a broken record, but please prepare. First, you have to prepare yourself. You have to prepare yourself for death. You have to prepare yourself to where you're guaranteeing me and you're making a pledge to me that you're not going to deny your creator. You're not going to deny your Lord and King, Jesus Christ, our Savior, no matter what they do to you and your children, anything else. That's very, very, very important. Next thing is, just like the Lord tells you, prepare. Prepare for this. This is like our Passover. Prepare. Prepare. Okay, we'll all lose weight in the long run. Believe me, if I go down to 1 can of food a day, that'll solve my problems immediately. And then I'll be hustling around doing everything. I'll get thin real fast. I only have maybe a month's worth of BP drugs and everything. The reality is, I think they're 9/10 of my problem. If I lose all my weight and lose that, I think I'll be fine. And all this, there's also another scientific fact that came out that fructose corn syrup is a cause of high blood pressure. It's a cause of a weight gain. It's a cause of diabetes. It's a cause of insulin. Basically, and what's happened since 1966? High fructose corn syrup has been put into everything. Well, that's another thing I saw. A lot of fat people down in Florida with my girth and greater. That did not make me happy. That did not say, well, they're fatter than you, Bob. No, it made me think that there's something that we're being fed that's not good. And that's it. So, I am open to questions. It's Open Chat Friday. 100% Bob, Awaken One. Please like this. That's all I can ask you guys to do is like it. Share it. Now, is there hope? There's always hope. I think that people aren't, in other states, they're already showing signs that they can't stand this, and they know that they're rebelling. Remember, the Delta Sierras of the world is really coming from DC, and that's where they want the center of everything. They already own the Supreme Court. That's why you saw that ruling. I told you. That's why the New Jersey judge, her son was killed, and her husband was made a paraplegic. To get Kavanaugh and Amy on the line. Worked. The Obama's medical thing is no ifs, ands, or buts. It's unconstitutional. Nope. So now you're going to, they already have the court packed, essentially. Because those two, since they went along, there's now the goods on them that they went along. And guarantee they have that because that's how they work. Saying that Texas didn't have any standing, saying that these other states didn't have any standing is ludicrous. They've founding fathers made sure that the heart of the power in our republic is in the states. That's what the 10th Amendment is all about. It's also what the 14th Amendment is all about. Anyway, their ruling, and I'm horrified what they're going to rule. I'm really horrified because somebody's got to do something about this. Project Veritas, somebody who has more clout than I do, has to do a report on this and show the true scandal of this. Yeah, I mean, my doctors, I'll tell you right now, all my doctors, all of them, and they're really good guys, but they've been brainwashed because the main drug that I take every single day that gives me the most, really makes me function. You're not going to believe what it is. It's 650 milligrams of aspirin. Secatrins. It's coded as 325 each. They're horrified when I tell them I take that every day. Oh, you're not bleeding out. Ulcers. And, no. Nope. I have no side effects from it. It allows me to function, drive 11 hours, do everything without dropping. And I have prescriptions for fentanyl patches and oxycodone and tons of stuff. I can't stand them. I can't get anything done. They put me to sleep. Sure, I'm in no pain, but I'm sleeping. Just saying. Beet juice. Supposedly, yeah. I have some beet concentrate powder stuff I take as a supplement. I take a lot of supplements. Probably too much, but I don't know. They tell me take these supplements. My labs came out great. Yeah, even though my liver profile, say, well, you have fatty liver. Yeah, I'm fat. But I'm working on it. I'm up to, I guess about 8 miles a day. So, I feel better. I'm still in chronic pain. I still got a stupid stone in my right kidney. I can't have celery juice because of the kidney stones. Can't do it. Can't have any vitamin K. It's that vitamin specifically produces like huge oxalates. I have to watch what I eat, and that again was all from these stupid diuretic blood pressure pills that left me with all these seeds. So I haven't had stones for 2 years. Then I take this other pill. 3 weeks later, I got stones. What does that tell you? And that's supposed to lower your blood pressure. Ever since I got a new batch of stones, my blood pressure has been in stroke city, people. I mean, really, really high. Why? If I told you how much pain, you have no idea. I mean, there have been times you could cut my leg off, and I'd be like, it's a leg. I mean, and I'm not a kind of person that goes into the emergency room screaming and yelling. Well, I go in there and I say, This really hurts. I gotta tell you, it really. Then I get to such a point where literally my master breaker goes off, and I literally almost die because I have a vagal venous, and that's it. Because my body can't deal with it. That's how painful this thing is. You just it's just boom, pops the breakers. Your blood pressure goes to almost zero, and the doctor sits there looking at he's like, "Oh shit!" I literally had an episode in his office. He didn't believe me. I was like, it really hurts. Look, when you're hit by a 275-pound middle linebacker, okay, who literally hits you into next week, um, you're not really afraid of a lot of things, but you know what pain is all about. So, uh, anyway, but these stones were caused by these drugs. That's the problem. So, like your normal cures, really don't work because these stupid chemistry. Even the gout that I was having was not like your regular. Normally, a gout is like a big toe or a big something, and it takes no. This was like boom, the whole leg, the whatever, elbow, whatever. It was decided to run into a previous injury. Painful as oh heck, but weird. And it was caused by these stupid two drugs. Like I said before, I should be the side effects man. And Wikipedia should be a picture of me, and it should be this guy gets all the side effects to all those drugs you see on TV. But I don't get the side effects to aspirin, so you know. But from what I understand, things that would help me my blood pressure that are natural that I can't eat right now. I will be able to eat them in the future when I get rid of all this stuff. Is flax seeds, um, uh, um, um, uh, I think it's apple cider vinegar, shot of it in the morning, beet juice, things like this. Cranberry juice, yeah, that's good and not good. Normally, that's good for a person who has natural stones, but not for my stones because they're not natural. Such so, yeah. I had the chemistry run on these stupid things. They're basically like diamonds, except they're not worth like diamonds. They're the hardest diamonds, but that's about it. They don't really dissolve very well, and they really are the worst possible chemistry for stones to get, and they cause a tremendous amount of pain when you pass them. It's like passing broken sharp glass. That's the best way I can describe it. So, yeah. I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy with I mean, I love salad. Salad's a big part of my diet. I can't have any right now. I have to eat very non-calcium foods, non-oxalated foods. It sucks. And it's just and then why? Because of their incompetence that they prescribed drugs to me that they should have looked. I mean, I had to discover this. I had to go to MD and say, "Oh, by the way, this," and then I had to go to MD again and say, "Oh, this new drug that you gave me to lower my breath, it's causing," and it says right there, "can cause." I'm like, "Hello." uh, anyway, but I can't have any of that stuff. I can't have any seeds. I can't have anything like that. It's very, very high in oxalates, and I can't have that right now. I'll be able to have it once I get clean. I was getting clean, and then I took this new drug, and so there we are again. Yeah, Rick, yeah, they've just about put a terminating brush on my channel. So, but I'm still preaching what God wants me to say. He told me he wanted me to tell my testimony, and people don't understand that this place is a test. They need to know that it's a test. Everything is a test, and you'll find out that when the real Lord comes, it won't be, oh, he came from the Middle East and it's this, and did you see that? No, no, no. He will appear for all to see. And those who he has marked with the sign of his body of Christ or in his kingdom, he's going to change us at that moment in time. And we will be called up to him then. That's after, by the way. So make sure you understand your scriptures, because that's after the bowls. Okay? Right? 1911 is after. After all these wonderful things, such as if you look at 16 in Revelation, okay? You look at 16:8, 19 after. Okay? So you have to prepare. You have to prepare for this. Being prepared is going to make it easier for you to maintain your faith, because your faith is going to be challenged. That's all part of it. Your faith is going to be challenged. Pray, call me, anything, but please stay in faith. Realize that scientifically I can prove to you that this is set up by our Lord God in heaven, and this is a test. This basically separates the wheat from the chaff, as it were. Okay? It's going to identify the people who truly love our Father in heaven. Not from fear, not from whatever, but love. Real love, which is why God created us, because he loves us. And he just wants the same. Most don't. I drove across this country many times now, and most people are afraid. They are motivated on fear. The motivation day to day is fear. The motivation to work is fear. The motivation of not having enough is fear. The motivation of anything is fear. They're afraid to die. They're afraid to live. They're afraid to not conform. They're afraid to not comply. They're afraid. They have been taught to be afraid. A fear is the devil's work. There's no question. Okay? So if you're afraid of something, it's one thing to respect this bear that's 750 pounds and it's about to attack you. I would say don't fear the bear, but I would say respect the bear and think about defending yourself. Hold your ground. Do not run. Hold your ground. And it's the same. Use the Lord's name. Hold your ground. He's there to help you. You're his subject. He's there to give you aid and comfort and strength. Okay? And he doesn't mind being asked and for his help. being talked to for your triumphs, being talked to for your successes, for your failures. What he wants is honesty, and he wants you to talk to him. So talk to him the way our Lord has instructed us, because he basically laid down his life so that we could talk to our Father in heaven. That's one of the, I think it's, obviously our salvation is huge, but let me tell you, that is just about like a hair under our salvation, is how incredible that is, to be able to meet, talk to, and have God in your life all the time is just it's a comfort. Please, not that again. I've seen it with my own eyes. It's round, pear shaped. If you go by the oblong shape with the spin, um, but realistically, if you look at it, it's round. I've seen the. I've been up to 57,000 feet. My son has been up to well over 100. Um, so yeah, he's seen it. He's seen it. So I've seen it on my boat. I did a whole video on it. So believe me, if it was flat, I would tell you it's flat, but it's not flat. It's as round as the moon is. So yep. Remember, it's 78% water, so there's a lot to it. That's the fact that it's really not round in land masses and everything underneath, but because of the water, it is. So when it does this, there's an effect. It's named after a Russian. It's in my Patreon thing, a video of it, where this thing flips and does this topsy turvy thing. Um, believe it or not, there's biblical and geological evidence to that. It will not be good. It won't be a good day to be on this earth when that happens, if it does happen. I'm not saying that it will happen. I'm saying that it's theoretically definite could happen. And it would make sense if it does. So, like I said, I've posted a video where safe zones were discussed. I can only talk so much on it, but it's happening. And it's happening in many states now and counties. But the problem is the Thomas Jefferson thing, it's already too late, right? So the only thing that could go now is true scandal and impeachments and things like this. And then who's going to become president? It would be Pelosi. Unless she could be implicated as well. But then who's going to do it? Yeah, this is bad. This should have been held up. This whole January 6th thing. There were many blocks put in place to do things the proper way, and people had to hold the line, and they didn't. They didn't believe in. The big thing is they really to matter what they profess, they don't believe in God. Because if you believe in God, you'll know there's a higher authority, and it's a higher thing that you're going to have to report to. So when you swear your oath and you don't carry it out, that's a big That's a big problem. Okay. What you saw in Portland, did you hear about what happened in Portland yesterday? What happened in Portland yesterday is the riot squad, all 50 officers resigned. So what does that mean if you're a business in Portland? It means that basically you're looking to get out. You gotta, this is like you gotta cut your losses because you're done. You gotta file Chapter 7, Chapter 11, or sell everything. You gotta get out. They're already starting to do this in other places throughout the country. Small businesses refuse to pay their taxes to the cities unless they're protected. I mean, you have anybody can walk in and steal anything up to $950 and they're not prosecuted. So, how many of these people coming in there divided in a certain way to where that they all walking out with $950 worth of merchandise and the business can't do anything? How long can you possibly stay in business when you're giving away 950, 950, 950, 950, 950? It doesn't work. And what they say, just that's not. And then this one person was saying it's reparations. How's it reparations to this person who immigrated to this country, who fought in the military, who then became a citizen after 15 years, to put their whole life savings into a store and then work on that store for the next 15, 16 years and then watch all that go out the door? So I don't I don't I understand why these businesses, same thing, all those states that I went through, why they closed. I understand what these other companies in LA and San Francisco and Portland and up in Michigan and Chicago. I understand. They're all calling it quits. It's beyond tragic. They're seeing most of them 3 generations, 2 generations of work go right down the tubes. And worse, they're leaving the community. The big conglomerates like Big A, I won't say any more than that, happy. Sure. What's not to be happy? When the last time you saw? No, we didn't go into that. Oh, yeah, because it doesn't happen. So that's what's going on. That's what's happening. Well, even that, who's going to pay my family the reparations? I lost almost half of my family in the Civil War. My family fought for the freedom of slaves. They died. I'm alive today, but my great 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 uncles are dead. Who's to know what they would have contributed? Am I saying that not everybody was for that? You see what I'm saying? My wife's family, they came here after 1935. They're not part of this at all. My wife had a scholarship to full pay scholarship to New York Institute of Technology, um, partial scholarship to NYU. I mean, nobody put me through college. Nobody. I mean, I felt like I was a slave. I mean, I was asked to do something and threatened if I didn't do it. There's a whole bunch of other college students behind me. They're willing to do it. So do it. I did it. I dug a 120-foot trench 4 feet deep by 6 feet. Do it. They didn't rent heavy equipment to do it. No, they gave me a shovel. Do it. We have you. And if you don't do it, you're fired. That's the way it was. Didn't have a choice. That was the first job I had before. You want to know what I was doing before that? Oh, I was living in my car underneath Interstate 95. Why? Because it didn't rain with my feet hanging out of my window because the overhang protected me. Yeah, I was homeless. Ah, was there any white privilege then because I was homeless? um, that I learned from that? Yeah, I learned what it's like to survive on $100 a month. I learned what it's like to survive on a jar of peanut butter and a jar of jelly and a loaf of bread, and that's it for the month. Yeah. No, my if you're not you knew this thing, my uh my mother and my sister were busy taking my money, unbeknownst to me. So I found out about that later in life. But I forgive them because I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have my sons. I wouldn't be the person I am today. I mean, it goes on. So, but you have to. Do I hold anybody? Oh, no, that's a stupid thing. I mean, things happen, and you do the best to cope with it, and then you learn, and then you move on. Well, the laugh is on them. I mean, I swore to my father when he died that I would look out for my mother, and I would make sure that she wouldn't get into an old folks' home and things like this. And she's done everything to basically back my sister to the detriment of my family, to say the least. But the it's mirrored. God works in mysterious ways because my sister, who is older, 4.5 years older than I am, she doesn't own her apartment. She doesn't own a car. She doesn't. She has to work two jobs. She only owns things that my mother has given her. My mother, the last thing, 3 days into my stroke, my mother gave everything my mother had and signed over to my sister because probably my sister convinced her of it because she didn't want to have to deal with my wife. And of course, I wouldn't, I would look to it to my sons or something like that, but it doesn't matter. They want nothing. They don't need anything. And the reality of which is that I'm sad for them because they never knew the men that grew up to be my sons, the boys that grew up to be men, and they don't know my grandsons at all. Um, and that's their loss. They don't know anything about my life. It's My sister has essentially been jealous of me since the day I was born. I don't put it totally on her. I put it on the times. You know, um, obviously, my father would be like, "Oh, we'll get the boy" and all that kind of stuff. But my mother was doting on her as well. So it was really my sister, my mother, and me and my father. And um, but my sister, when she went with us one time on a flight, she got so sick. It's like forget about it. So she was throwing up on everything. Um, I don't blame her. There's people like I've gotten sick and planes. Same thing. I mean, I used to get car sick. Um, when you're flying an aircraft yourself, though, I think that's probably one of the reasons why Father put me in the seat. Because when you're flying, you don't get sick because you expect that motion, that movement. You expect it to happen, and yeah, there you go. So, um, and that's it. I mean, so that's the way it was. So when I put my father in the ground, really that was the end of my family, at least on that side. Um, because um, the contrast was never any good. It was always um, and it was to her detriment. She never really learned. And now my mother's in the 90s. She's not going to be around that much longer. My sister's already looking into homes to put her into. I've tried to do things. I've called up my mother, begged her to come up. I begged to go down when I was down there. Nope, can only do so much. That's it. So I still offered my mother to come up to Vermont in August when it's really, really hot. She's driving. She bought a new electric car, driving all over the place. She's able to drive. You think she'd be able to fly? Nope. So, it's the same on a boat. If somebody's on my boat, and they're getting sick, I put them on the helm. Immediately, I put them on the helm. First of all, you give them something to do, something to concentrate on. They're looking at the horizon. They're also moving the helm, and they're part of it. They're anticipating that movement because they're part of it. So it's the same thing. I can make anybody sick in an aircraft. Believe me. Okay. Um, you go up in an aircraft with me, and I put the heat on in the back, and I'll do a couple maneuvers, and only trained. I can't make my son sick. No way. He could definitely make me sick. He could probably kill me. But uh, you know, look, I barely fit in a F-35 cockpit, barely, and I'm like, okay. I don't think I'd fit with the canopy down. Definitely not with the helmet on. Right? You want a bone? You ready? Yes. You want a bone. You want a bone. So, um, I feel way better in the helicopter. Although in the seat, getting to the seat on the simulator, you got to walk through this narrow channel thing. It's tough. Can't, can't really suck it up, as it were. So, yeah, fun. Still, no joy in that. Um, I can fly a helicopter a little bit, steady flight, stuff like this. Can land it kind of without doing an overtalk on it on the flat ground. Ship, no, can't do it. Maybe if in 100 and some hours of practice, maybe. But wow, that's tough. Really tough. Really tough. Hard. Um, the other stuff, not nearly as hard. Um, because you're not afraid. That's the other thing. Uh, you know. So yeah, when you take her out, then that's a whole different thing too. Because I've been in circumstances where literally I lost an engine. Um, I lost all power once, and that is really no fun. Um, and it and being trained to deal with that in that specific moment, that's everything because you can't waste even a second of time. You have to be right on top of it. Um, and literally, I was right on top. And if I wasn't, I would have been in the trees. So yeah, the other one I would have spun it into the ground. Um, yeah, and I was not at an altitude where I could do a Martin Baker or anything like that. So yep. Um, well, the thing about the issue with my mother specifically is that she doesn't admit to the things that I know that are fact, even though they're documented fact. Um, she admits to it and then she takes because she can't deal with it, or she's just been that kind of a liar really her whole life that I've known her. It's keeping up with the Joneses, competition with his sisters, then competition or really just I'm not criticizing in the thing because she was seeing that my sister was weaker or whatever in her eye. But the reality is my sister's been controlling her since my sister was 14. And there it is. And I my sister thinks that she's gonna go through my mother's estate rapidly and she's not gonna get the help from her kids. And I reached out many, many times, but it doesn't matter. So, but from your mother, it means that, what's wrong with me? There's that underlying thing, what's wrong with me? And then when your mother picks sides of your brother in law, when you know he's a criminal, and turns out that your sister knew he was a criminal too, and then knew he was lying, but chose to perpetrate this anyway, and then it ended up being the detriment of my family, at least on that side. Um, yeah, that's just pure evil. It's horrible, but it's true. It's what it is. I don't wish. I pray for her. I don't wish ill of either of them. Um, But uh, my sons don't want anything to do with them. I can't blame them. They're fully grown men. I gave them. Um, they won't even tell me what my mother did. So you know, but I happen to know that it's not going to end well for my mother because she's feared that, and her worst fears are being realized, but she won't admit it either. That's why I'm in making so many efforts to get her up to Vermont. I even said, "Look, I'll drive down on this trip, and my wife will fly back, and you could come up with me and drive back with me, and stay up in my house in Vermont with me, and we'll stop off here and blah blah blah, and iron us out." And nope, nope. And I thought that would be a chance for even her to meet her great grandsons. She's never met them. She's never met them. And the younger boy is two, and she's never met them. And that child is a miracle. It's very sad that that kind of pride and jealousy and not, I don't know. I told her, I said, "Look, I forgive you, but I will not lie. I won't do that. So don't ask me again to say, oh, no, that didn't happen, because I know what happened. I have the documentation, proof. I know that there's more that happened that I don't know about." When you go through the new cars, the new things, I asked them at the time, where you guys getting all this money? Turned out it was my money, $247,000 in 5.5 years of my money. What I could have done with that money, that would be like $1 million a month to me now. But I never would have met my wife. I never would have had my sons. I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So it's true. God, when doors close, God will turn and open another door. I would have met and had a relationship with Jesus Christ if it wasn't for meeting my wife. So, and I met my wife because of my sister. I'm up here. I flew up here for Christmas and whatever, and didn't have a car. I was at my Aunt Addie's house, and I needed to borrow the car, but my mother wouldn't let me borrow the car unless I took my sister to this party that this person, Debbie P, was having. And I said, okay, because I had a date already that night. All right. So we don't know what this house is, right? We're going to meet him at this parking lot of this um, grocery store. And I remember I got out of the car and I walked over to Debbie, and my wife was sitting next to her in the bed. I was like, wow. Wow. And I went to the thing and I just saw this woman get out of the car. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. So that was it. And my wife shut me down 3 times that night. But I kept coming back. And I left with this an insanely beautiful woman, incredibly intelligent woman. Oh, unbelievable. And my sister was sitting about 8 feet away from me the whole night, going like this. I kissed my wife at midnight. I waited. It was hard. And I took her home, and we were stopping in we went to actually Howard Johnson's first to have a Sunday we shared, and we were stopping every late necking and stuff. And I didn't get home till like 5:30 in the morning. And there's my mother, and there's my sister, and I'll never forget it. My mother goes, "Who is this woman?" And I said, I'll never forget. I said, "Oh, yeah, her name's Anne. It's the woman I'm going to marry, and she's a Phi Beta Kappa. She's in law review, and she works in the Manhattan South DA office. And yeah, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'll marry her. And I'm going to sleep now. I got to catch a flight at 4:30 out of JFK. So that mouth was so open with flies. Now you think that my mother would be happy that I met such an accomplished woman who was so magnificently beautiful, and so educated, a doctorate. Nope. So, yeah, that's the truth story. And it's amazing. That first kiss was just like it is now. Every cell in my body wanted nothing. It was like, this is the person. This is it. And oh yeah. So I remember these guys we used to work with and getting like really, really talented. Bruce and Carl. They were both extremely flaming gays. And they were proud of it, and really, for 3 years I worked with them. So my wife comes in one time. She meets me at the studio at CBS Studios, and this director thinks it's an actress that she's late, and my wife is just like ridiculous, and she's just looking at me apologetic, and she's 5 foot 11. My wife is tall, but so the car goes. He says, "Oh my God, Bob, isn't that your wife?" Oh, Glenn thinks it's that actress. Oh, Bruce, that's Bob's wife. Oh, this is unbelievable. We got to watch it. I'll tell you, those guys they were incredible. They taught me so much about color. I never knew there was so many colors and so many names for it. I mean, I thought blue was, no, Bob, that's Blondie. But they had and at the time, it was like $5.3 million wharf that was a warehouse seamstress place in the brownstone area, and they redid the whole thing. It was like walking through a Better Homes and Garden magazine. Every room was at a different decade. It was absolutely incredible. And my wife couldn't believe the place because she was just amazed. Everything was perfect. It was just, I said, yeah, well, these guys, they did the mural at JFK. If you've been to JFK and you see this mural up there, they had a mural that they built. Okay, we're talking like 75 feet. They built this thing all Broadway, all lit up on this wall with every single playbill that was ever done at those theaters. It was unbelievable, incredible. And yeah, and they had show tunes play. He calls this to me again. Says, "Well, Bob, we have to be cliche. Of course, there's show tunes." Oh God, yeah. But my wife and I had a great time. That was a very interesting party, and yeah, I never would have. And there it is. And there's been many of time in the past where there's been, you know, but nope. So I don't think there is any possibility. I don't have any. I could get it, but then I'd be accused of spying, even though um, what I was spying on were the actual records of public domain that have referred to monies and things. When I found out that they were lying to me about all kinds of things, I uncovered things more and more. And everywhere I looked, from the 127 aliases that the guy's got in Florida to all this other stuff, 3 bankruptcies, and my mother had to actually carry the mortgage on one of the houses, and says it wasn't her, but the name's clearly on the thing, and said it was her chats. And she's still in denial of it now, So, um, it's sad for her, I mean, she's. I just want her to be saved and know Lord, and she thinks because she takes communion, says some Hail Marys and Our Fathers, it's all going to be taken care of. I don't think so. I don't know. Yes, Intel. Um, China is going to take over Taiwan, and we're not going to do anything about it, just like Hong Kong, and just like Crimea. And Russia's going to do further things. So is Iran. So they want this. I don't know if all these things are going to transpire in enough time to really matter because of what's going on with the Earth and the Sun. Um, so if you wake up one day and you see a halo around the sun, please, I beg you, take shelter. Get as low as you possibly can. At least I would say about 60 through 2% of our 35s are down. It turns out that what happened was Lockheed made a deal with Biden people, whatever, for them not to do certain maintenance things so that they would avoid the warranty that Lockheed had on those jets. So now all those jets are out of warranty because the Navy and the Air Force and Marine didn't do what they're supposed to do, which means that if they have to do anything, it means it's going to be huge bucks. So they're making us pay for the stuff that the savings that we got with Trump. And if we actually do get into any kind of conflict, we're going to lose a lot of people. That's the truth. And there's going to be huge cuts coming to the Navy. Huge. Which are going to really, 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 really put a a horror show drive anybody who's worth anything out of the military. That's any good for anything. But there's going to be so much massive unemployment from everything else. Where am I wrong, Mama Bear? Oh, you're saying that person's wrong? I didn't go through the chat. I read right out of the Bible. So the good thing is this. God is going to have the last say in all this, and Satan is going to be bound for 1,000 years. So God wins. We all knew this. It's going to be hard, but you have to realize that it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be easier if you prepare now for it, because you'll be able to also help more. The more you help, the more you can share this word. The more we share this word, the more we bring more people into the castle, into safety. And that's what we have to really think about. Now, I don't care that it's sexist. I want all you fathers out there, because I know how hard it is to be a good father. Because us fathers have the job of really tough love. And it's not because women don't give tough love, but it's against their DNA. Literally, folks, they're built to nurture. So we're built to take our children and turn them into men and women. And we know as fathers what's out there. And through our experiences, we know our failings. The best way you can help your children is to tell them about your failings. Don't sit there and tell them about your successes. Tell them about your failings, which led to your successes. And not to give up. That everybody fails. Not to give up. Get up and try again. Keep trying. Very important. So, the truth of the matter is that children today need full families more than ever, need the trust of the parents to where that they can come to the parents with anything, bad or good. And I would always punish my sons a lot less if they fessed up, if at all. But if they lied to me, if they hid it from me, and they didn't, well, then it came down. And I knew that it had to come down for their good. And I was hated. I would say both sons of mine hated me from the time they're about 7 to like 13, 14 years old, maybe. They're a little older. At times. Not obviously, but there was definitely times, because I wouldn't let them play Grand Theft Auto. I wouldn't let them do this. I let them do a lot of things, though. I let them play F-18 flight simulator, a real flight sim the Navy was using. After they did their homework, I let them do, a type of missile command that taught them both how to type. Things like this, things that were constructive. Battle chess after the homework was done. It's a game where you play chess, but the pieces have a war with each other. It's kind of good for a kid to see that, because then it's not as, But it's tough. It's tough doing that. job being a good father and being and know and, and doing that because you know that in the long run it's going to lead to good things, but in the short run it's rough. It's rough. It was very hard times. It's especially hard sometimes. I know my wife didn't mean to do it, but there were a couple times she said, "Wait till your father comes home." That's that's tough because that automatically puts in that stick. You know, they don't want you to come home. So, but your children need all the fathers they can get full time, and they need that wisdom, the wisdom of failure, the wisdom of success, the wisdom of trying, the wisdoms of life and surviving that insanity that you go through when you turn 12 to 13. When all of a sudden one day you wake up, women don't know this. One day you wake up and everything's in the wrong place. And you get to school, and every female, no matter you want to see them or not, is naked because your testosterone is like at 10,000%. And you're banging into lockers and just having extremely uncomfortable moments in school. And if you have some sympathetic teachers, they look down and they understand why you can't get up. Um, I don't know what the agenda is today, but I'm sure it's not that. And it's a tough time. It's a very tough time. And it's a tough time to think about if I didn't have a father to prepare me for that. I prepared both my sons for that. And it's a tough time. So, and I'm sure that there's tough times for women too, but I don't know them. I don't. And I don't profess to know them. Um, I know that my wife and I might come to the same conclusions. However, by the means that we get there are totally different. Um, totally different. She thinks one way, I think the other way, but that's what life is about. And I think that's the reason why we've lasted for 40 years. Oh, thank you. Um, you know, but I really do appreciate all fathers this weekend. I appreciated all mothers um, prior, despite what they're saying in the public, where they want to get rid of and have this just special person day or something. Yeah. Um, on Tamara Keller. I haven't any contact with President Trump. Just as I haven't had any contact with John since that day that I saw John on going onto the helicopter. Um, I can't legally see a way to make August 5th, August 8th, August, whatever the August, any of them. Um, I can't. I see no way that that's even possible. This whole fraud memes and other things saying that this was all done in Hollywood and whatever you and I was saying that it wasn't. I was a minority, and who has been proven true? I have been proven true. Biden got an Air Force One and went there. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. I don't care. The person that they call Biden did that. It wasn't Trump. Trump's not in charge. Okay. The same people are in charge that when Obama was president. They put the accelerator pedal on this. I don't know. I know that the states have been torn down by the courts. I know that the SHIT has been hitting the fan in many states, many counties. I pray and hope, but the only thing I can see that'll solve the situation really is divine intervention. Honestly, especially with my last tour. I mean, if you think that our number one threat is global warming, climate change, when nobody can quantify, show me that, or explain to me how the last ice age melted where this earth was 10 degrees hotter than it is now, and then what froze it? Or the fact that the data shows that the last 70 eruptions of volcanoes have put out more CO2 and other nitrous oxide compounds into the atmosphere that we've done in 18 and a half years. That old human activity is only responsible for less than 4% of the CO2 emissions on the Earth. 97% is natural or geologic. And then countries like China, countries like Russia are not anytime soon. We're talking about they're playing 35, 40 years to be on petrochemicals. That I have to say to myself, we're disarming our people, having them fly green fuels for what purpose? It's putting our pilots in danger. It's making our military less lethal at a time when we need to be more. And I'll leave you at that. So I want you guys to have a good and safe weekend. All you fathers out there, happy Father's Day. And God bless. And amen also to you, Rick. And please take Jesus into your heart. He's our true King and Lord and Savior. Amen.